are. So, okay, got the recording going. So we've got enough commissioners to have a quorum, so we can move forward.
Sure.
I was going to move the agenda around slightly, but Dave's not here, so I'm just going to leave it as is. So let's just dive in. And I think there's going to land up being some follow-up comments and questions. I marked up, and Barbara, thank you as usual for those notes. If you can keep doing that, that was really, really helpful. I went back through all that. So Kevin, if you'd like to start with Resource Recovery Division updates, that would be great.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. Okay, some updates on the methane concentration study at the OCF. We are still waiting for the results from UMD. We haven't been informed as to the time frame. So can you hear me?
It was fading away a little, so thank you.
So yeah, we're still waiting for the result of the methane concentration study. We haven't been informed of the time frame as to when they are gonna submit the report.
Yeah, I understand that a number of the team members are actually out of state and may be out of state for several more weeks. So I'm going to try to figure out, maybe I'll try to contact Russ and also see when, if he can give us at least an ETA on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're excited to have that data.
Yep.
Okay.
Next, waste sort at the OCF. I have forwarded the result to you, Nancy, today.
And I forwarded it to everybody else.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Do you want to say anything about it? It's interesting.
Yeah, overall, the result I think is positive with very minimal contamination rate for June. So the next, I understand that the next waste sort is in fall, right? But that has to be scheduled.
Yes, late fall, hopefully.
Late fall, yes. Residential curbside collection.
So, Kevin, I have a couple of questions on the waste sort. Should we do that later or now?
We can do it now.
Okay. So they had the one from us, the hall, page 6, the hall from Suitland, Capitol Heights, from whenever it was, March of 2023. Being 5 times as much food waste as almost all the other sorts that they've done. Why? Because that really skews the data. Unless, I mean, is it taken? There was a big barbecue. It's there's some food processing plant that puts into there. What's going on?
Barbara, can you repeat the name of the 2 areas?
It was Suitland, Capitol Heights. Look at the table on page 6.
Right. Yeah, I remembered that jumped out at me too. It might be because I hope you guys can hear me because I'm having really bad connectivity issues.
We hear you.
Okay,
sound great.
17.5%, it says.
Yeah, and everything else almost all the rest are in 2-point-something%.
Yeah, it could be, and we'll have to look at the exact routes that were serviced and where that is with relationship to like Carmody Hills, and there was a couple of other areas in that general area that was one of the initial piloted areas from the very beginning. So it could be that the residents in that particular area have been participating for a longer time and know better about it, but we'll have to dig into that a little bit deeper to see if that area, what is in fact part of the area that's been in the pilot since its inception. But yeah, Barbara,
could somebody look if the Suitland Capitol Heights truck was ever sorted before? Because if it was, that if your theory is correct, then it should have been high, you know, 2
Yeah,
years
I-
ago too.
Yeah, no, I don't, I
I
don't
haven't
believe.
done
it-
very many.
Yeah, I don't think any of the same
Okay.
trucks have been sorted more than once. They've all been randomly, except for the specific request for the I believe it was University Park, you know, to get the pre and post bag handout
Okay.
situation determined.
Then I have another question. On page 7 and 8, they talk about the extrapolation for quarters 3 and 4 of fiscal year 2024. But back on page 6, they already gave the data for the March and June sort, which are the quarter 3 and 4 of fiscal year 2024. So what is this extrapolation thing? And if you do an extrapolation, why do you do it to 3 significant figures?
Barbara, where are you looking?
It's page 7 and 8. It's entitled extrapolation. That's a section title.
Okay, let
And
me,
then further down in that section, they talk about their extrapolating quarters 3 and 4. But page 6 gave the data for quarter 3 and 4. So what the hell's going on?
oh, actually. I don't see that section. Oh, here it is. Okay, it's on page 9 on the copy I have.
I was looking at the page numbers that they gave on the page themselves. Maybe that's different than, maybe
No,
there are
I
a couple
printed,
of,
I printed it out. So I've got, it goes to, it's on page 9 and 10.
yeah, so probably there are a couple of unnumbered pages at the beginning.
Yeah, right.
I was doing their page numbers, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. I just,
See that they talk about extrapolation for past time where they've given the data already. It just doesn't make sense.
I know I'm not understanding what they're doing here,
What I'm doing or what they're doing.
what they're doing. I'm
Ditto.
trying to,
That was my problem. Because if you look at the table on their numbered page 6, which is probably your page 8, Nancy,
or
it
9,
gives the
actually.
data, whatever. It gives the data for March 12th and June 11th.
Okay, that's page 8, you're right. Okay.
And those are quarter 3 and quarter 4 of fiscal year 2024, which goes from July 1st, 23. I mean, yeah, July 1st, 23 to the end of June 24.
Oh. Okay, so what it looks like to me is one is a table related to the composition findings. And the other one is the table 3 looks like the total tonnage, the mixed tonnage of yard waste and food waste.
But that's that's all that they're sorting. That's the same stuff.
No, it's the totals. They're just the totals. The totals for each year. Is that what you're looking at? The totals? See, one says annual total inbound material. That's what mine says. Or are you looking at the one?
Let me pull up their table. Hang on a sec.
I should have looked at this a little bit more carefully. I was excited. There was so much data.
Yeah, but
Kevin, do you know what we're talking? Does this make any sense?
Let me check on this. Table 3.
So, Barbara, are you talking about table 2, table 3, or table
table 2,
4? Okay,
which
table
table
2,
2,
right?
which is their numbered page 8, and I don't, page
Right,
6.
right,
and I
that's
don't know
right.
what it is.
Okay, so we're on the
Just
same.
let's use their page numbers rather than yours because it's easier. It's at the bottom of each page. Yeah, so on their page 6, it gives the total weight of the collection and how much is weight in yard and in food for March 12th and June
Right.
11th.
Right, but then table 3 is basically just the total tonnages for the fiscal year.
Right, but if you already have all the numbers, why would you do extrapolations for quarter 3 and 4? You have the exact numbers in table 2. You just add them up.
Well, you only have of the waste that you've sorted, not of the other waste that hasn't been sorted. So they're extrapolating that, right? Isn't that what that means?
I think
Oh,
I
I
think
see.
table
Yep.
3 is summary of
Yeah, yeah. Right,
across all the fiscal year covered.
right. So they're
Oh, I
taking,
see. So they're taking the counts that they've done and
Right.
saying, is this the entire?
yeah.
Ah, okay.
I am
Yes.
gonna, but I do, Barbara, I think it would be good. I'm gonna read through the description too, but that's what it appears to be.
Okay.
So it'd be interesting to know how they extrapolate. You know, are they doing it? It's because they're extrapolating for annual. So do they take the extrapolation from each number from each quarter, add them together, and use that as the base? But it looks like it's described, so we should probably just read that and see if that makes sense. Right? I'm not the engineer
Yeah.
here by any far stretch.
Well, usually when you take a sample, it's to make, conjectures about the universe of it. So that would
Right.
make sense to say that they're taking their sample, based on that sample, here's how it applies across the board for everything that comes into the compost facility.
And that's why
Right.
they have the extrapolation for
That
a particular date and then for the higher food scrap
Right.
version.
yeah,
Right, and that's
without
where the
having-
number, if the number is skewed, then the
Yep.
extrapolation is screwed.
Okay. Okay, it wasn't clear what
Skewed,
that was,
not
but thank you
screwed.
for making that clear.
Sure.
Okay.
I haven't read it, so I don't know. I'm just, going on
Okay.
statistically what.
No, you guys are right. Okay,
Uh,
and the third question, on page 8, they say they gave the flyer, quote, to hauler accounts. What is a hauler account? Does that mean to the truck drivers?
Yes. So at the scale house window, they MAS personnel distribute the flyers.
But the final 3 words of that page say they gave them 2 hauler accounts. What does hauler accounts mean?
Oh, Barbara, that must just refer to each of the vendors. The trucks, I would assume.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But
Yeah.
how does that reduce contamination unless the truckers unless they refuse to pick up some stuff? Which Bates has never refused in our neighborhood, at least.
Well, last time,
maybe-
I think Marilyn had mentioned they were tagging and not taking certain things. Is that correct?
That's what they're supposed to
Yes.
do.
Like maybe some haulers are trusted versus others. Like some tag more often versus maybe others, or others have more infractions versus another one. So they give the hauling accounts or the hauling contracts to those respective haulers.
Well, I think so. So now the last time Marilyn mentioned that they have redone the hauler contracts, they're 5-year contracts, and they've reduced the number of contractors. Is that correct, Kevin?
Mhm.
Yeah, and the number of routes have been consolidated. So they've created a more efficient system. Although I would like to hear a little bit from Kevin or Marilyn about the rollout, because I know in my neighborhood, it's been very uneven. Including that everyone seems to be completely confused about what day. Of course, it was July 4th, which was like the worst week to do it. Because things are never right that week anyway with the solid waste pickups. But so I assume, Kevin, does it mean when Barbara's reference to, in the document, it says hauler accounts, I presume what that's referring to is the various haulers. I don't know why they put accounts. That just seems,
So in the last paragraph, you will see there that in June 2024, MES emailed and handed out at the scale house window a flyer on acceptable and unacceptable items to hauler accounts. So aside from distributing flyers at the scale house, we also sent email to the hauler account holders. So in the report,
okay, so it's to the businesses, that refers to a
businesses.
particular business, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
because they have we have contact information that we can reach them out anytime, just in case we want to inform them about, you know, developments at the OCF.
so actually it might be more accurate to say that MES emailed hauler account holders and also gave out flyers to individual haulers or trucks at the scale house window. Is that right? Okay. Does that make sense?
One's to the business, the other's to the drivers of the trucks, two different
Correct.
people that may or may not be on the same page. Presumably they are, but who knows?
Right. Well, that seems good to cover their bases by not informing the business, which they're probably required to do on the contract, but
Right.
also to do the outreach to make sure that each person driving those trucks knows what's acceptable and unacceptable if that hasn't been sufficiently you know, provided clarity, you know, to the driver from their own business. So the county's kind of, or MES on behalf of the county is ensuring or trying to ensure, you know, a more effective, cleaner pickup. So, okay, so Barbara, does that make sense?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Once it's explained, it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
And to anybody else reading it, if they read it carefully, it's not gonna make sense.
Yeah.
Unless it's modified.
well, it's like it's sort of insider language that, you know, that's a business language relative to what they do that we're not that familiar with, so. Okay, Kevin, would you all mind, let's see. The updates, okay, so the curbside collection we're talking about, can you guys provide a little bit more of an update on sort of how, I mean, we're in what, the second week now, how this has been going?
Yeah, Kevin, I can take this.
Sure.
So the initial week, July 1 was a rough week for the county and for the haulers and for the residents. By and large, most of the county was serviced appropriately, but we did have some areas within the county that had some, I'll say quite a few missed collections, and it was a combination of several reasons. And we have been working as quickly and as diligently as possible to get all that material that was missed collected. We have even deployed some of our internal bulky crews to clear some missed collections. So part of the issue involved not only crews learning new routes, so there was a learning curve there, but also the holiday. Absolutely, you know, anytime we have a holiday, whether it's a new contract or not, you know, we push out the information about what we call the slide schedule, where, you know, in this case, it was a Thursday was a holiday. So Thursday collections moved to Friday and Friday moved to a Saturday. A lot of people didn't get that quite right. And we also had a hauler that, even though it was conveyed extremely clearly, not only verbally in a meeting, but in writing numerous times, we did have at least one hauler get mixed up and didn't do the appropriate slide schedule. So that added to the issue that we had.
And I think a lot of people didn't know that their date of pickup was changed, because that's the first week of the pickup change too.
Yes, and the excessive heat has been another ongoing issue.
Awful.
The county has moved to a 5 a.m. start time effective yesterday to help alleviate some of the staff heat exhaustion issues that were being caused from the excessive heat, where people
We lost you, Marilyn.
Yeah, that's an issue with,
Nancy, this is Chuck. Talking about the rollout and the pickups. I don't remember if I expressed it clearly the last meeting. I checked online for my pickup date and I was advised on the website that the pickup date was being changed from Wednesday to Tuesday. And I was telling people it was Wednesday to Tuesday. Subsequently, I learned that was an error. I had a representative from DER come out and actually visited my house. He said, "Oh, that was a mistake. We'll fix it and get it fixed by Monday." Well, that was the rollout. So, and they did fix it on the webpage, but there was misinformation that was posted clearly that said people's pickup date was being changed when in fact it hadn't been changed. And I was one of the areas that fell into that.
Yeah, well, maybe Marilyn can address that. I sort of had a similar experience, although I have to tell you at the moment, I really am not sure what my correct pickup date is, because I had read that mine was changed from Thursday to Wednesday, and I put stuff out on Wednesday. Nobody else did. And then stuff last week got picked up on the alternate holiday day, not the day that I thought it was supposed to be. And so we'll see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow, I understand, is supposed to get picked up, but I don't know if that's really going to happen. So
I can say in my, I was going to say in my neighborhood, when the date changed from Tuesday to Wednesday, when I walked around Tuesday, there were quite a few people that had their trash out on Tuesday, not knowing that things had changed, even though I personally received 2 postcards in the mail and a door hanger. Now, I can say, as far as using the mail and the door hanger in my neighborhood, you're not going to reach all the households, in quotes, because in a lot of households, a lot of houses, there's 2 households living in it. One that uses the front door and one that uses the back side door. The people who, and I don't know how they work their mail between those 2, but they're not related groups. They're 2 separate entities. They put out 2 separate sets of trash cans in most instances. So if you put a door hanger, the people that go in the front door will see the door hanger. The people that use the side door aren't going to see it. Whether they get the mail to that address and, has it, the person who lives in the upstairs takes the mail out of the mailbox and sorts it so that the people who live in the basement get their mail separated. I'm sure if they do that, they're not giving them the postcards and stuff that I received from the county explaining trash day changes. So you might want to think about how you're going to address those instances where you've got more than one household living in a house that may or may not make the mail and or door hangers effective ways to communicate to these people. Because like I say, they're 2 separate entities that do not seem to interact with each other any more than is absolutely necessary, other than probably fighting about a parking space in the front of the house, since there's never enough when they all got 5 vehicles associated with each domicile person. Anyway, that's just,
Marilyn,
and I must say, I'm really not happy the fact that I noticed when the new truck came around, it was Bates. Previously, we had Shaw, who were really good. They didn't leave stuff in the street or anything else. So far, Bates has picked up twice, and I can say there's a lot more stuff in the street left than there had been previous. Now, part of that may have been for the fact that people had stuff out on Tuesday, when in fact the pickup day was Wednesday, so it got knocked over by animals and people parking their cars or whatever. But it doesn't look like Bates has changed their tune as far as being a reliable and dependable hauler. At least
Welcome to the world of Batesville.
At least in comparison to what Shaw was, because they were good. I found very little in the streets. Because the other thing is, now it seems that Bates doesn't have their routes together because there seems to be a whole mishmash of when trucks are coming. It used to be when Shaw came in, they came in one set of trucks did the trash, followed by another set that did the recycle, and they were out of the neighborhood. You could hear them in the next neighborhood over. They were finished with us. Now it looks like some streets get their trash picked up, and then some other streets get their recycles picked up, but they're in the neighborhood constantly for hours on end, as opposed to being in and out and down with the next neighborhood. But that's just my observation. And having worked on the back end of a trash truck many years ago. So,
Okay,
What-
Marilyn, you were speaking when you got dropped.
Yeah, sorry about that. Again, I'm having some significant connectivity problems. I left off, I don't know if you heard me, but I was pointing out the excessive heat and what we've done to address that with starting at 5 a.m. We have had a number of on premise, that means, like front or side door collections for the elderly or senior citizens that we're working through. And with respect to Bates, Bill,
Yeah.
Shaw did not bid on this new contract. So Shaw actually no longer has any work in the county because they didn't submit a bid.
that's too bad. They
but-
were good.
Yeah, but interestingly enough, I would like to share that we have received not that many complaints for the Bates area. There are two haulers, which I'm not privy to name here, but primarily one of them is a brand new hauler in the county, and the other one is an existing hauler, but that's primarily where most of the complaints, the missed collections are coming from. So I just wanted to share with you that from the perspective of complaints being reported to the county and our response, Bates has not had that many complaints out the gate. So
Well, that's good.
It
I'm just
appears-
going by the stuff I see in the street,
Yeah.
and I have to
Okay.
pick up afterwards because I go around and pick up trash in my neighborhood. So if it's-
Marilyn, let me give you a perspective from a neighborhood that's had Bates for years, that everybody continually complains about them. All the civic association meetings get lots of complaints about Bates, and people have so often reported to 311 that they're just fed up with doing it. They just say, okay, Bates is horrible, the county doesn't care. And unless it's some terrible new infraction, just junk strewn across the neighborhood, they expect that. That's how Bates works. They don't complain about it anymore.
yeah, well, under this new contract with respect to the award, the bid awards, Bates, number of units, a unit meaning a house, he has 1/3 less work than he had under the previous contract. So his work has been reduced by 1/3.
Does that mean that they're going to increase their
Oh, boy.
diligence by
Yeah,
1/3?
it should reflect that, yes.
and
It would be great.
Yeah, so Nancy, we did have a bumpy start last week. We're working through it. So far this week, which knowing today's only Tuesday, the number of missed complaints between yesterday and today is 10% of what we received last week. So yeah, we're taking that as yes, we have we had a massive what we're calling a recovery for last week with missed collections, but so far it looks like this week, again, today's only Tuesday, but between yesterday and today, we were only at 10% of the, of what we had this time last week. So we're taking that as a great improvement.
Okay, well, good.
But we still have misses that need to be cleared.
Can you tell me which municipalities the county picks up for? I know it's Hyattsville. There's 6, I think.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Can you tell me which municipalities the county picks up for?
Yeah, we have, I believe it is 6 municipalities that we provide recycling only collection. I believe it's Bladensburg, Capitol Heights. It's either Cottage City or Colmar Manors, one of the two. City of Hyattsville. Trying to go off the top of my head here. It might be Fairmont Heights.
So it appears to me, I'm in Hyattsville and everything I've gotten about my pickup is from the county, not from Hyattsville.
But Marilyn, you say that it's only the recycling, whereas Nancy gets compost pickup also.
Well, compost, but the regular trash. I guess we lost her again. Kevin, do you know?
Yeah, Marlin has an issue with connection. I know that for the 6 municipalities, we only collect recyclable materials. As mentioned by Marlin.
But you don't collect the trash.
No, it's the municipality who collects the trash.
Well, I got notification of a changed day of my trash, which I guess, I don't know, seems very, I'm gonna have to call Hyattsville, find out what's going on. None of it makes any sense.
Are you in the city of Hyattsville or the burbs?
No, I'm in the city of Hyattsville and I got notification that my day was changing to Wednesday, but nobody put anything out. So
Hyattsville may have had to
But-
change their schedule based on the fact that the hauler,
yeah,
The
maybe.
does Hyattsville pick up the trash themselves or do they contract it out to a hauler as well?
Well, it looks like they do, which is what was really confusing when I got notice from the county that my trash day changed, because I thought, what does this have to do with the county if it's Hyattsville? And then I call Hyattsville and I ask them about like something else, and they're like, oh, it's the county. So so I'll have to call Hyattsville back.
It looks to me that the county just sent the card to all the homeowners in Prince George's County.
That, you know what, that may be right. Maybe that's
Yeah.
why, yeah. Okay, all right, Kevin, I'm gonna let you continue with this. I've got to step away for a minute, so go ahead and continue with your report. I'll be back in just a minute.
Sure. Okay, 10-year plan, as I have communicated with you, we have posted the document on the DOE website for public access. Area C infill project construction is ongoing and target completion date October 2025. Joint emission study with UMD, we're still waiting for the non-disclosure agreement from UMD.
Kevin,
Pipeline,
can we go back to Area C for a minute?
sure.
I don't remember which commissioner had it in comments, but there was a comment made about a possibly going down and doing a tour to see the progress and the work that's being done on Area C. I don't know if Nancy's talked to you about it or whether or not that's even possible, but I think it would be something worth doing.
I haven't received any request from Nancy, Chuck, but yeah, Nancy can just write a letter to Marlin, and then we'll arrange the tour.
All right, when she gets back, I'll bring it back up because I again, I saw it in somebody's comments or notes, but I don't remember who mentioned it now. I think it would be a good idea for us to do.
A tour of the area C.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Okay, Kevin, can you arrange that?
Yes.
Okay. Also, if anyone's interested, I do have a copy, which I guess I'll just send out, of the refuse permit, which sort of outlines what the construction project and the operation looks like. I have a copy of that document, so I will send that out to everybody. Okay, let's see. Send
Okay,
out.
pipeline project, we don't have any update yet, regarding the project. The RFI for the landfill gas,
Kevin,
sorry, go
what
ahead.
is the real problem with the pipeline? I mean, this has been going on for months and months and months and months and months. We could all be dead.
I mean,
Um,
it's been going on for years, not months.
Yes, Carrie,
6
yes,
years.
you're right.
It's 6 years, actually.
Does the county not want to do the pipeline and they're just hoping that the proposal to have it trucked out or whatever with the gas is going to solve the issue?
I think it's not trucked out. They're looking at getting it taken over by like Washington Gas or something.
Yeah, and at some point they'd either have to bottle it, bag it, or not bag it, but tank it somehow to get it, or they'd have to build a pipeline.
Right, so Chuck, my understanding is that the pipeline project, it's been 6 years in August, I think. And my understanding is that that project is at least on hold at the moment. The Office of Central Services has been reviewing the costs for that project, as well as there's issues with permitting. However, Resource Recovery Division, my understanding is that they have the next thing in the report is about the request for proposal, and that we were told looked like it was supposed to go out the beginning of June, then it got changed to the end of June. Now we're in July, so that's important to know what that status is. And that was a project that would take the landfill gas and potentially create some way to have beneficial use of that gas. And that project has a relationship to the pipeline. So I think my understanding is that the county is waiting until they understand what's happening with this project before a decision is made about the pipeline. That's my understanding. Does that sound correct, Kevin?
That's correct. So yeah, we are working on the RFP for the landfill gas. In fact, last week we had a meeting with MES to finalize the RFP. So the time frame is around July, August for the release of the RFP. And the target award is on or before end of the year. So yeah, the landfill gas pipeline is could be part of that, the proposal.
Or not?
Yeah.
My concern is that this RFP now seems to be just month after month, it's getting pushed out. So
Yeah,
what's the holdup with this?
In addition, how did the solid waste plan deal with the issue of the gas?
Larry.
Obviously, you told the state how you were going to deal with that issue, and we seem not to be dealing with it at all because we're always waiting for something else to happen.
I think that the solid waste plan just probably just says what it is they're actually doing. It doesn't say, it's not really a very aspirational document. It's more of a description than a prescription.
But it's supposed to be 2024 through 2033. So it should describe what they propose to do with it in the future, not that the fact that they're flaming it off currently.
Well, I think I think if my recollection is correct, that it basically just states this process that we're currently in. So I do think we need to really look at that, the tenure, start looking at that in advance of the next round. But Kevin, I am concerned. It's like, I mean, this is what is the holdup with getting this RFP out? Because we were told the same thing the last couple of months.
So yeah, it underwent review by MES and then joint review with the county, but certainly it is coming out in July and August timeframe. The leadership has given the go signal to release it.
Okay,
So yeah, as I mentioned, we had a meeting last week to finalize the draft, and it will be posted soon.
can you let me know when it's posted?
Sure, yes. Mhm.
Okay, and then what is the time frame by which the vendors have to reply? Is it 30 days, 45 days,
I'm
2
not sure.
weeks?
Yeah, probably within the 30-day time frame, but I will check.
Okay, if you would check, that would be, so we have a sense, and then I guess there's gonna be a review of what's submitted,
Correct.
and that's a review that MES will primarily sort of take the lead on. I mean, it's
Yes.
kind of a very technical project.
Mhm. So there is a consultant hired to do the review.
Okay, and who is that?
I don't have the exact name of the firm, but
Okay.
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Then
Okay.
you've got, then you still have an award to make, and assuming that there's no protests to it. So you could be looking at a considerable period of time yet before anyone even puts any efforts to starting the actual contract for whatever they're going to do. And that's going to involve still analysis permits and whatever. So you're looking, you know, a considerable period of time before anything really happens other than the continued flaring of the gas.
Yeah, so the proposal, you know, would certainly require some permits depending on the proposal that will be submitted. But yeah, that's part of the process.
Yeah.
It's, you know, could be public outreach involved, since there will be impacted communities on the project.
Right. So I guess this phase we're in now, once these, let's just say it's roughly a 30-day, if it goes out mid-August, it comes back in mid-September, do we think that by the end of 2024, there'll be some decision made? That a possibility? To
Yes,
me, it seems like that's the part that once a decision is made and a contract is signed, then at least we know something's gonna happen, even if it's not immediate.
there will be an award before end of the year.
Okay,
based
okay,
on-
great. We're gonna hold you to that, Kevin.
He
Not that you
doesn't
have any control
control
over
over-
that.
He has
I
no
based it
control
on the
over
time frame.
protests.
We got you on tape, Kevin. We got you on tape.
Hey, Kenneth, welcome.
Hello, sorry I was late.
Nice
Hello.
to see you. Okay, well, you're probably just in time. We're not, it's gonna be kind of a short meeting tonight, so. Okay, so that's, I guess that's area. That's the gas project, okay. Okay. Next item,
Bicycle reuse program. Nancy, based on the feedback given to me by Jefferson, you came up with a plan to reach out to Park and Planning and WABA, and getting support to strengthen the reuse program and also on developing the goals.
yeah, the other thing is that Jefferson has spent time thoughtfully looking at the issue of sort of the bigger picture of reuse within the county matrix of communication. So Barbara, you probably and Niall are going to be interested in this, is really he shared with me some potential software that could be useful for sort of creating a better system to alert people to reuse possibilities. So we're simultaneously both looking at sort of a two-track, how we can expand the county's commitment without spending any money on reuse, at the same time, sort of still looking at how we can potentially develop the bike program. So that's where we stand with that. Okay, so compost outreach.
Compost outreach, I have forwarded the slides to Marlin on the capstone survey result. And so I think the next step for this, Nancy, is discussion with the appropriate committee on having or craft the messages for the compost program. But I will wait for Marlin's until she's finished with the review, and then I will provide feedback to your group.
Okay, so just so you know, we have made a request because we did not get the complete set of the data sets from the students. And so there's been some back and forth with Andy Fellows at the University of Maryland and he's communicating with the students to get the full data set from them that we can also review. And then the SWAC will also be looking at whether and what might be possible in terms of looking at some other areas to survey. And one area might be exactly what came up tonight, which is looking at Suitland Capitol Heights with those really odd numbers. Maybe surveying over there would make sense to see what's going on. So you will do your review. We're going to review the data again, and then we can discuss what we think the next steps should be.
Okay. Last, repurposing of old carts in District 2. So we have identified the area, and that is Louisdale, and we will be distributing about 1,800 households. 1,800
Wow.
households will receive the new recycling carts, and we have also started distributing the flyers in the targeted area. Some outreach events are also scheduled from July to August at supermarkets to inform the residents about the program.
Okay, good. Do you want to mention the events?
Okay, hold on.
Or I can.
Okay, so household collection events, next schedule is July 27 at Largo Government Center. And just to remind you again of the upcoming Green Summit 2024 in October 19.
Right, and that also includes e-waste and household hazard waste, right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah,
Is the
okay.
government center the Wayne Curry building? What are they using government center, Largo Government Center? Is that the Wayne Curry building?
Kevin,
It's across the DOE building. I forgot the exact, but it's not the Wayne Curry building. It's not the new building.
It's not the Wayne Curry building, so it's off of Lotsford Road.
It's at the parking lot of the old DOE building.
No.
Yep.
Kevin, the LGC, the LGC is right there at it's McCormick and
McCormick Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, McCormick Drive, correct, yes.
Yeah, it's that building right there on the corner.
But it's not the new CAB building. Okay.
you mean 202 in McCormick?
Yeah.
No. When you turn off of McCormick, it's that Basil Court. That's the name of that street.
Oh, that's
Basil
it.
Court and McCormick Drive.
When you come off of 202, Basil Court is the first road on the right.
Yes, and it's that building right there on the
Yep. It's the
corner. If
first
you
turn
make
on
the right,
right.
it's right there on your left. But go past it because it's in the back on the parking lot.
Thanks, Kenneth.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize they were calling that Largo Government Center.
They always have, Chuck,
There, at what,
I
it
actually used to work
wasn't
there.
always Prince George's County. There were other tenants in there as well, but yeah, I understand. I understand. I know
And look-
most of that now is Prince George's County, if not all of it.
I worked in that office for a few years, and we always referred to as the LGC. So it
Yeah.
took me a second to remember. That's what that stands for. So
Okay,
That's it, Nancy.
okay,
Okay.
thank you. All right, well, our main active committee chair is not here, so, and I cannot report on his stuff. There's been a lot of activity, and, I will mention that we worked and the committee approved, had a meeting and approved a pretty delineated set of goals and objectives for the rest of this year, probably carry into 2025 as well. The focus of that is pretty much what's outlined in our mandate, and has to do with, you know, investigating and evaluating, looking at the operation both at Brown Station Road and the organics facility, with some pieces built into that having to do with like some of the work we're already doing, the capstone program. We'd like to look at commercial food collection program. We'd also like to look at sort of what is state of the art for waste composition studies. You know, how does that really work? What's the best way to do that? How many should you be doing? Does it, you know, what does that look like? We had discussed last month this goal of mandatory composting, and I know that, you know, you all feel strongly you're supported, but you really need time to get what we're doing underway. So we're aware of that, but doing some background work on sort of thinking that through. Laurel, by the way, now has adopted that. So they're the first municipality in the county that now has mandatory composting. So a couple of the other tasks and goals are looking at all the landfills in the county and trying to understand what their status is. Looking at multifamily recycling and trying to figure out what's happening with that. We discussed that last.
Nancy,
Yeah.
you say all the other landfills in the county, there really is only one landfill that's operating. The rest of them are different class fills. They're not landfills. What
Okay.
exactly are you talking about?
They're
Well,
closed, there's some closed landfills.
There's one there's one closed, one, and there's one
Sandy
open,
Hill.
Brown Station.
well,
So
I think that Dave had mentioned that there's some others, something up in College Park or Bowie that they had run
might have
across.
been, yeah, they might have been municipal landfills, but they weren't county landfills because there were only two, and the one that is closed and the other one is open. There are class 1, 2, and 3 fills, and they're all over the county, but they're primarily in District 6.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I can't give you any more information about the thinking on that at the moment, but I can let Dave know.
Okay.
Thank you. One of the other issues that's come up recently is trying to figure out about what the municipalities are doing regarding multifamily recycling, so we can just have clarity about whether everyone in the county is doing that level of recycling, which we don't seem to know for sure what's going on. We'd like to know. And then there's some discussion about creating some kind of compost demonstration project, maybe in the North County. So that's what that list. I think Dave plans to send people that information, so keep your eyes peeled for that.
And Nancy, I thought you were going to add the messaging on the greenhouse gas also.
Yes, thank you, Barbara. Yep, I haven't done that. Yep. Yeah, so yes, and the fifth part of that is the communications group is going to work on messaging for the compost, which we've already discussed, and we're just going to put it with the greenhouse gas committee. Thanks, Barbara, for
Thank you.
reminding me. Appreciate that. I don't know if anybody, we've already reported on the reuse group. There's nothing really happening legislatively at the moment. And so I don't know if under communications, Nyla, Barbara, you have stuff to report, yes or no?
I love the idea of the communications moving forward and under the greenhouse gas committee, is probably a great way to do it. Ken, let me just ask you, I remember, am I hallucinating or remembering correctly that when the county council discussed the budget for DOE, they also gave a directive that the SWAC should help with the messaging? Did I hear that from you or someone else?
You probably heard that at the meeting, but it was one of those things where whenever the agency is doing something, that they should include us and they should include the council as well. So it was one of those, you know, opportunities where the council, when they're reviewing the budget, and they do it lots of times whenever the agencies are there talking about something that's important that the community needs to know about, the council will offer to assist in the outreach. And on that note specifically, and I think we were dealing with something with the SWAC at the time, so it was top of mind with them. So they did indicate that that's their desire. Yes.
Has DOE ever reached out to the county council since that directive for the future mailings that they have done subsequently?
I believe so. I have to check with our communications office because that's
Okay, because I don't believe that
working
they've
with.
reached out to SWAC.
Okay. I'll make a note for myself. Let's see.
No, I haven't heard from anybody about that.
Okay.
Because I think as long as the messaging is being done by the central offices that doesn't understand methane and greenhouse gases and stuff like that, the messaging is going to continue to come out sounding like oatmeal.
Okay, so I think we can happily say that we can now create a closer relationship and have a working, a good working relationship to make some improvements in the messaging, focused on especially on the compost program. And there can be a nice relationship between looking at some of the data and the survey projects as we hopefully move that along and get better data. Barbara, I think there were some, let's see. Let me check I think was there something related to that from the last meeting? We were going to do.
Not sure what you're talking about.
Yeah. I think. Oh my. Now in my notes, I think there was some tasks. I thought there were some tasks we had related to the compost outreach. I'll have to double check and go through there, but it's in your notes, so you might want to double check that. The notes you provided for me that were so helpful, there's some notes in there related to that.
Okay, and what am I looking for exactly?
There was some follow-up, I think, things we had said to Marilyn that we would do related to I think it was related to some of the compost information and research on compost related issues, and I don't recall exactly what they were. I thought I'd marked it, but I don't see it.
I think I remember that.
You do, Nyla?
I think so. It's about either like little teachables or like how to make composting easier. But I think there are postcards sent about it, but about informing the public. But there's always more that they could learn about composting. So I'm on board for being a part of the information part, because I did a whole podcast on composting. I could talk about it all day. It's fun. So
no, but what did we last month say we were going to do that we haven't done?
I think you were going to share with Marilyn. I think there were some issues about where composting is mandatory.
I did that. I emailed that to her.
Oh, okay, great. All right, great. can you send me a copy of that? I'm just gonna write
Sure.
done, terrific, okay.
It turns out that when you read quickly, when they say composting is mandatory and a lot of jurisdictions say that, it turns out in almost all of them, what it means is that it's mandatory that the jurisdictions provide the option
Right.
for composting,
Right,
not mandatory that the residents use it.
do, right,
So it sounds like Laurel is totally unique in that. And the Oregon one it's been written very definitively both ways, that the residents are required to do it, and it's only the municipalities are required to offer it. And so I'm not sure what is the correct thing with Oregon.
I also thought that Washington, because I know somebody in Washington State, I have regular communication, I think they also had passed a mandatory composting, and I thought Vermont also had a mandatory compost.
Yeah, I thought Vermont was the mandatory was also that it's provided and not that it's used.
No, that distinction I'm not sure about, so, but anyway, okay, so, all right, I think, does anybody have any announcements? Anything else? We can wrap up at 7. Nyla? No?
I'm good. I can't wait. Okay, so our deployment was slated to arrive back CONUS, the contiguous United States, August 3rd. So I'll be seeing you all after that. So I'll be
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I miss y'all. So it's good to finally be back in the States.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you'll be happy to be back. Not have to be at meetings at 2 in.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the other thing I just want to mention, there is a possibility that I may be out of town in August, and I'm not sure, but I will let folks know in advance. And Barbara can take over for that month, but I'm not sure yet.
Cool.
So I'm not sure of the scheduling. I'm gonna try to arrange to be here, but it's possible I won't be, so I'll keep everyone posted. And stay cool. It's 104 on my front porch.
Nancy, I'm
Unbel-
glad you mentioned you were going to be out of town. I am definitely going to be out of town for the next meeting.
Okay,
I'll be gone for that whole week.
okay, all right. I'll make a note. Okay, so stay cool and hopefully I'll see everybody in a month.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks,
Sure. Thank you
everybody.
so much.
Right, take care, everyone.
Thanks.